and things like that. So he decided, instead of trying to create devices to, stop the indoctrination process, he was just going to stop the magic at its source, and he ripped apart the ritual, the runes, and destroyed the ground around it, and kicked the crap out of the bad guys, old-fashioned, old Western style.
Okay.
And he used a lot of. He didn't bring up his own weapons except for the gauntlets. What he uses is he uses a lot of makeshift weapons that he can find anywhere, like broken table leg. He kicks it up, use it as a club, shovel. All this, anything that he can find lying around is a weapon to him, and that's how his father taught him how to fight. His father didn't want him to be a pistol shooter. His father wanted him to be, he wanted him to be able to actually fight instead of rely on a certain type of weapon.
Okay, that's good, but your story is missing something.
What's it missing?
An actual villain.
Okay. The villain, now, the one who tried to do the indoctrination, he called himself, I had the name for him, too. He called himself, Professor Steinholm. Steinholm, it's from an old reference. I can't remember exactly where it's from, but I like the name. His name was Professor Steinholm. And from what William had found was he had at one point been a professor of psychology.
Okay.
And then he
No, you don't have to give him an entire backstory. We just need to put a bad guy into this story.
Well, the reason I do that is because Steinholm, this isn't the first time he's met Steinholm. Or this isn't the last time he's met Steinholm.
Okay.
But Professor Steinholm, decided that he wanted to use his abilities of psychology and the occult to indoctrinate and create his own army of mindless zombie people. And so William had to stop him, and they fought. And Professor Steinholm was a master of martial arts, not kung fu. It was karate. And he in one fight, or in their last fight in this mission, Professor Steinholm did all these wicked moves, kicked the crap out of William, and then William pushed himself up off the ground. He saw a shovel over on the ground, and he kicked it up into his hand and smacked Steinholm in the face, knocking him out. And he said, "I just made that shit up."
Okay. Okay, I think I got something to work with now. So what I wrote down is that the army recruits William and let him basically take over his father's job. He then discovers a ritual that would take over the minds of a lot of people, and William began working on a device that would allow him to block the mind-controlling magic, and for this he developed multifunctional magic gauntlets. And he then discovered that who was behind it is Professor Steinholm, a former psychologist who has become obsessed with controlling the minds of people. And in the fight against Steinholm, Hex also used anything he can get his hands on, more or less.
Yep.
Is that more or less the bottom line?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think, first aspect, master of improvisation. What do you think? Because that applies to a lot of things.
Well,
not only to fighting.
Well, I was thinking instead of master of improvisation,
Yeah.
you remember the movie Wild West with Will Smith?
Vaguely. Vaguely.
Remember how
Wild
he
West.
said? Remember how when he was fighting the China dude or the white dude that was doing all those fancy kung fu moves?
I
and
said
the
vaguely,
white guy's
Richard.
well, Dries remembers it. And he said, the white guy says, "I learned that from a Chinaman," and then Will Smith kicks up the shovel, grabs it, and smacks him in the face. I just made that shit up.
Okay.
I was
You
thinking
want that
the
as an aspect? I just
be-
made that shit up?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
I mean, that's the name of it, but it's basically Master of Improvisation. But I like the name. I just made that shit up better.
Okay. Right. And let's see. Second aspect. Maybe second aspect is just the magical gauntlets. What do you think?
Yeah.
Or do you want to have the
basically-
enemy as your second aspect? Depends.
What do you
Personally, I
mean,
take the
enemy?
gauntlets. What?
What do you mean by have the enemy as my second aspect?
Basically, your second aspect would be like stop Steinholm or something. Do you want to stop
No.
Steinholm?
The gauntlets. Let's have the gauntlets be my second aspect.
And second aspect, I'm just gonna write down Hex Gauntlets, which is handy. This will give you extra bonuses. Well, this can give you extra bonuses when you're using them. They're called Hex Gauntlets, right? Or what? What are you calling them?
No, they're called Hex Tech Gauntlets, and there's a reason for that, and I'll tell that in the third part.
Okay, Hex Tech Gauntlets. Okay.
This is
So
the third part.
We still need a title though. Let's see. Professor Hex and the Maniacal Mind Control something. Man. No, not man. Come on, help me out here.
Professor Steinholm, or no, Invasion of Return of the Dead. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Invasion
trying to find
of the
an
Body
alliteration.
Snatchers. There we
The
go.
Maniacal Mind Control.
No, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
No!
Why not?
We need a new name.
But William
Oh.
Hex and the Invasion of the Body Snatchers is awesome.
No. Mind Snatchers I could deal with, but it's not really an invasion either.
Okay. William Hex and the Fight for Mental Freedom.
I like that. And-
Testing.
Hi,
I'm back.
Noah. And the Fight for Mental Freedom. I still think it needs an F instead of mental. Does anybody know anything that more or less means mental or something mind related that starts with an F?
Mind related words that start with
You know,
F.
I'm just gonna
I
look
don't
it up
know.
on
We
the
have-
on
Ooh.
the thesaurus.
Ooh.
Thesaurus.
Let's-
Synonyms for mind. Let's see.
But how about cerebral freedom?
No. Nah, it needs to
Yes,
be.
no.
If you wanted to make it really pulpy, it needs to start with an F.
Yes, alliteration, like the prismatic pylons and the Society of Secrets.
I can't really find anything that's. Crap.
Okay.
Wait.
William-
Freedom of thought.
No.
Because
no,
thought
no.
is pronounced with an F fish and not with a F.
Faculty?
Yeah, thought. Faculty.
Faculty, yeah.
What does
So,
faculty mean?
William
Ability,
Hex-
skill.
Faculties.
Listen,
Your faculties is your mental ability. Your faculties.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
listen.
Yeah.
William Hex and the fight for mental faculty. No, for
For freedom of faculties.
there we go. Fight for the freedom of faculties.
Okay, why not? Sure. Okay, Professor Hex and the fight
Because
for freedom of faculties. Wow, that's a mouthful. Cool. Okay, I like it. Oh, and Dawa, because you were gone, he took the aspects because he's kind of a master of improvisation and stuff. First aspect is I made that shit up. And his second...
Now think about the movie Wild Wild West
Yeah,
and think about that aspect.
So what's the negative?
it doesn't always need to be negative, Dawa.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
see, with that, he also refuses to use any actual. He's a makeshift fighter. He doesn't use any actual weapons other than his gauntlets. So he shies away from conventional weapons like guns.
Okay. And his second aspect is Hextech Gauntlets, which ties into basically the artifact he will have, and that will basically give him bonus when using the artifact.
Oh yeah,
it's a handy thing to have.
also...
Yeah, you can do that. Actually, want to have an aspect relating to something you own, like let's say a vehicle or a weapon.
My amazing mechanical horse. Stuff like that.
Yeah, like Dries will probably need to have an aspect related to his spear too.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Check.
Talking about Dries. Oh, and I'll give you... you missed the entire story, didn't you, Dawa?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks to Troubles.
So
don't worry about it. I'll read it up. I'll read it later.
Okay, because you need to know the story.
I'll read up on it right now.
Okay, cool. And so lastly we have Dries. So, what's it gonna be, Dries? Is Cortez going to be involved?
We start with our hero. That he finishes his training. He is now the true guardian of El Dorado. So his previous master no longer has a function, and he has to die.
Oh boy.
He ritually sacrifices his master to his gods.
Wow.
Nice.
And in doing so, passing on the...
Well,
believe it or not, I looked it up.
Out.
Huh?
In doing so, yeah, you start fading out. I only heard in doing so.
In doing so, he passes on the sacred spear of Ik, and Ik is actually the god of winds and hurricanes.
Oh, how do you write Ik? I-K or what?
Yeah, Ik.
Okay.
I-K.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
And then we cut to another part in Brazil, the more civilized part, where a mysterious masked man, the investor, has gathered a group of gold seekers together and says, "I know the secret route of the mysterious city to the mysterious golden city of El Dorado." And they set out into the jungle with the investor as the guide to find the sacred city of El Dorado. Meanwhile, the spirits of the jungle warns the guardians that there's danger is approaching, so he reacts to that. He meets all those gold seekers not head on. He uses the guerrilla style, taking them out one by one, but leaving corpses behind, so to make sure that the others are not so certain anymore of their quest. But while he's doing that, the investor secretly sneaks away and manages to get inside a secret temple, a small shrine actually, where he finds the ritual of summoning the undead. As he returns, and actually the guardian, I'm gonna call him Shadow, deals with the last of the gold seekers. The mysterious figures, the investor reveals himself as the demon Cortez.
Oh no.
Saying that
Damn you, Cortez!
that knowing fighting one-on-one was always a fool's errand, but now he has the secret means to call upon his ancient army of soldiers to conquer El Dorado in the name of king and country.
For Spain!
Yes. And with that, he uses his demonic powers and vanishes into the darkness of the jungle. Shadow learns from his previous guardians that he has stolen the sacred ritual of summoning the undead, and now his goal is to hunt Cortez down and stopping him in collecting all the artifacts that is needed for the ritual, stolen by archaeologists over the years and scattered throughout the world.
I like that. That's like that, yeah. Because we were talking about that earlier. Because your character first didn't have a reason to travel around the world. Now he does. Well done.
Indeed.
So.
And that is actually his story.
Okay. Okay, I think I got most of that. So, Shadow finishes his training and he's forced to sacrifice his master to the gods. In doing so, he passes on the sacred spear of Ik. That was right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Later, a mysterious masked man calling himself the Investor gathers a group of gold seekers and they set out to look for the Golden City. Shadow takes out the gold seekers one by one, guerrilla style. But the Investor manages to sneak away and finds an old temple where he finds a ritual to summon the undead. When Shadow finally confronts him, the Investor reveals himself as the undead conquistador Cortez, who... He's undead, right?
I would more call him like a demon. The demon Cortez, the undead.
The demon conquistador! Actually, I like the sound of the demon conquistador.
Demon conquistador, yes.
And he now reminds, and I'm now thinking of LeChuck in Monkey Island, who also became a demon.
He's actually kind of based on LeChuck.
Really? Oh, I like that. Cool. A demonic voice and a flaming, literally flaming beard.
Yes.
A beard made out of fire. I like it. Anyway, and so yes, he reveals himself as the demon.
And actually a skull-shaped Spanish helmet.
Nice. And so yes, he reveals himself the demon conquistador Cortez, who claims he will use the ritual to summon an army of the undead with which he will conquer El Dorado, right?
Yes, and claim all its gold for king and country of Spain.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of a given. I'm not writing that down. But first he needs...
Yeah.
What? I didn't get the last part. But first he needs artifact.
He needs to gather the artifacts to complete the ritual that were stolen by archaeologists and scattered across the world in museums and collectors.
And spread all over the world. The world in museums and personal collections. Okay.
And now he has to hunt down Cortez and stop him for resurrecting his undead army.
I'll write down the final thing. Cortez escapes and Shadow vows to hunt him down or something. Vows to stop him.
Yes.
Something. Yeah, that's more or less the thing. Cortez escapes and Shadow vows to stop him. And
actually, the gods command him to stop him.
Yeah, whatever. It's the same thing. So, I think your second aspect is definitely gonna be stop Cortez.
Yes. Yes. Stop the demon conquistador Cortez.
What do you want me to write down? Stop Cortez, or do you want me to write his full title?
Aspect should be short and sweet.
Yeah.
Or just stop the demon conquistador.
Something like that.
Stop the demon Cortez.
All right. Can you see yourself using that aspect in everyday adventure, or just only when you?
That is his quest. Every time he gets knowledge of Cortez's whereabouts, he says, "I'm off."
Yeah, if it's really important to your character, one of the example characters in the Spirit of the Century book also has an aspect related to stopping his arch nemesis. So, if you want it, you can take it. If it's really important to your character's background story, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's actually his purpose, to stop Cortez every 100 years from conquering El Dorado.
Mm-hmm.
And his first aspect will then probably, because like I said, you more or less have to take it, otherwise you can't get a blessed weapon like you want with the stunt. So the first aspect will be just like the Sacred Spear of Ik, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like your story. It's very pulpy, but it still needs a name.
I first went with the name The Heart of the Jungle, but
then we got The Shadow of the Jungle in the Heart of the Jungle.
Yeah, I know.
Because your name has to be in there.
The Shadow of the Jungle versus the power of wealth.
Versus the greed of the West.
Or the Shadow of the Jungle in the Thirst for Gold.
Thirst for gold, yes.
The thirst for gold, yes.
In ... the Thirst for Gold. It's not an alliteration, but it sounds cool, so that's good too. Gold with an exclamation mark. I was want to say an explanation mark for some reason.
Explanation mark.
Point.
Wow,
so there
that mark
you go.
explains everything.
Now everybody has stories. Now guest stars. I already have two ideas. Richard's character could easily guest star in the story with the necromantic mobsters. And Dries could, for instance, guest star in Dawa's story because it involves dinosaurs and bees and animals are kind of his forte. So,
yes,
I think he could also guest star a little in Richard's because, with all the novelties of Hex, maybe one of those things are one of the artifacts that Cortez needs.
Oh, there you go!
Mm-hmm.
Richard, are you okay with that? With having the Shadow of the Jungle guest star in your story? As kind of looking for magical artifacts?
Sure.
Okay, so you're guest starring in crap, what was the name of Richard's story again?
The Fight for Freedom of Faculties.
Professor Hex and the Fight for Freedom of That makes me laugh.
No, not Professor Hex, it's William Hex.
I like
he only
Professor
uses
Hex.
Professor when he's with his colleagues.
Okay, William Hex.
Moving right. Okay, sure. Sure.
And the Fight for Freedom of Faculties. I just imagine some stuffy politician / maybe philosopher saying something like that. A fight for freedom of faculties.
Nice.
Okay, so Dries, your character is then guest starring in the Fight for Freedom of Faculties, and what you are doing is basically you're looking for magical artifacts. So how does that tie into the story?
Actually, he is not looking for magical artifacts. Cortez is looking for magical artifacts, and he is supposed to stop Cortez.
Just a question.
Yeah.
If this follows the pattern of other Fate adventures, the Centurions first have their solo novel, as it were,
Yes.
and in the second novel there is a guest star.
No, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works?
No, that's not how it works. You guest star in other people. There's only one novel, and people guest star in it. Okay?
Okay.
That's how you're
So
supposed to do
after
it.
or... Okay. Sure.
No, it's not after. It happens during, and that's how people know each other.
Okay.
Anyway,
Gotcha. Okay, so
yeah, hold on. So Dries, on your search for magical artifacts, I don't care if it's Cortez who really wants them, but you're looking for them too to stop Cortez, right? Same thing.
Yes.
For the magical magical artifacts, you hear about how should I word about? You hear about the professor. What's his name? Steinholm. Doing all those mind control rituals, and maybe he's using some sort of artifacts to help him in that. What do you think, Richard?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll work. Basically, well, he had to use artifact-like objects, like, spears that had been saved from, back a few thousand years ago when Jesus had been born and all that kind of stuff. Or different weapons from different time periods that could have artifact-like qualities. They were used because, obviously they were old and they had connections to greater heroes, so to speak.
Oh, I know, Richard, I know actually a better pulp name for your character, and it's not really that much of a change to his name.
Okay.
Which is?
Will Hex. It sounds more dynamic than William. Will Hex. It's shorter and more dynamic, and it sounds more like a pulp hero.
Have gauntlets. Will Hex.
Gauntlets will
for food.
Cool.
Or I will hex you.
Or Bill Hex, whatever, because Bill is also short, more for some reason a diminutive form of William.
Yeah, which is really annoying for me.
Bill Hex.
So which is it?
I like that. Action Commando Bill Hex.
Bill Hex. Okay.
Action Commando.
Bill Hex. Arcane Commando Bill Hex reported for duty, sir. I like it.
Dude, that's perfect. That's
for
awesome.
some reason you gotta make him talk like a military veteran. For some reason, I would love that.
Oh, he's going to. He's gonna call himself the Arcane Commando.
Sergeant Hex. I don't know. Anyway.
No, he just calls himself Arcane Commando Hex.
Yeah. And he's more like a sort of a secret agent guy, so he doesn't really have an actual rank, because otherwise we'd have to incorporate that in the story and shit, so yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that later.
He's basically secret agent man.
Okay, so what I write down is that on his search for magical artifacts, Shadow finds out about Professor Steinholm's dark rituals and helps Bill Hex to defeat the cult. That's more or less right.
That'll work.
Yeah. Let's just say Shadow was taking down all the mooks while Hex was fighting Steinholm, right?